The American people are unfortunately about to start suffering some very real consequences because of the shutdown.
People are already suffering, and they have been very clear about that. You know what ended the longest shutdown in our history? Air traffic control calling out and having it be a nightmare for travel. Is this going to be the key that pushes Congress to do its job?
Hold on, let's pump the brakes on this emotional manipulation right here. Yes, the shutdown is impacting people, but let's talk about why we're in this situation, because the framing you just heard is deliberately incomplete. Here's what they won't tell you. Republicans passed a clean continuing resolution. The same type of CR that Democrats voted for 13 times under Biden. Biden-level spending, no cuts. Just keep the lights on while we negotiate healthcare separately. Democrats said no. Why? Because they're demanding an additional $1 trillion in Obamacare subsidies be included, or they'll hold the government hostage. Think about that. They're the ones who added the extra demand, but somehow Republicans are the bad guys? And about those TSA workers? Let's be real. This is the 6th week. Under the Biden administration, we had the longest shutdown in history, 35 days. And somehow that was different? The media didn't run wall-to-wall coverage crying about federal workers then. Funny how that works.
Allison, what do you think the chances are with the Democrats having this sort of big blue wave that they just had? I do that to you every time.
It's okay.
Ashley Allison, and I call you Allison every time. Me. There's a lot of love. But Ashley, what do you make of this idea that Democrats are saying, look, let's go ahead and talk about insurance. Let's get this done, and then we will help you reopen the government. Is that going to fly?
Did you just hear what she said? Let me play that back for you because this is the entire shutdown in one sentence.
What do you make of this idea that Democrats are saying, look, let's go ahead and talk about insurance. Let's get this done, and then we will help you reopen the government. Is that going to fly?
Let's get this done, and then we will help you reopen the government. Then we will help you reopen the government. Do you understand what she just admitted? She just told you on national television that Democrats are choosing to keep the government closed. They're holding out. Their words, not mine. Let me translate that Democrat speak for you. Give us what we want first, and then we'll consider allowing the government to reopen. That's not negotiation. That's extortion. That's hostage taking. That's literally holding the American people hostage until Republicans cave to their demands. And notice the language. We will help you reopen the government. As if they're doing Republicans a favor. As if they're not the ones voting no every single day on a clean CR that would reopen the government immediately.
What's today? Thursday? 2 nights ago, Mamdani wins, and we're told he's going to turn the city into a place where you don't have groceries on the shelves, where people can't put gas in their car. You actually know where that's happening? Under government rule, with the White House being under Republican rule, with the White House being Republican rule, with the Senate being Republican rule, with the House being Republican rule. And what do we hear from the FAA? Is that there are people who can't afford to put gas in their cars because they're not getting paid. You're worried about Mamdani being a Let me finish. You're worried about Mamdani being a socialist. I'm worried about the Republicans governing.
This is why actually Republicans don't like big government, because it is extremely unreliable, and that's why they don't want more government the way that Mamdani is proposing. But
they're in charge.
I hope that Arthur, that the Democrats are listening to you. The issue is if you're listening to the mainstream media, 87% of coverage for the Democrats has been positive during the shutdown. So they look at this, they think they're winning. Schumer thinks every day that passes is better for him. The minority whip talks about having leverage. And they don't really have the incentive now, right? They look at the margins that they won in Virginia, where lots of angry government employees turned out to vote for Spanberger, and they think, I don't want to give this up. At the same time, Axios is reporting that House Democrats are putting tremendous pressure on Senate Democrats not to cave, not to compromise, or they will have, quote unquote, hell to pay. So I don't think Democrats are in a position where they are interested in negotiating based on everything that's being reported and that we're hearing.
And here's where it gets even worse. You just heard the reporters say that House Democrats are threatening Senate Democrats with hell to pay if they compromise. Think about what that means. Democrats would rather see federal workers go without paychecks, flights canceled because TSA agents can't afford gas, SNAP benefits delayed for millions of Americans, the government shut down indefinitely, than allow their own party members to negotiate and end this crisis. Let me be absolutely clear about what's happening here. Democrats are admitting admitting they're holding the government closed. They're admitting they're holding tight. They're admitting they won't budge. And they're threatening their own colleagues who might want to end the suffering. But here's the part that should make your blood boil. The media is refusing to hold them accountable for it. When Republicans shut down the government under Obama, what happened? 24/7 coverage. Republicans are terrorists. They're holding the government hostage. They're extremists who don't care about people. But now, when Democrats openly admit they're holding tight and won't negotiate, when they admit they're waiting for Republicans to cave before they'll help reopen the government, crickets. 87% positive coverage for Democrats during this shutdown. 87%. The media is acting as if Democrats are heroic freedom fighters standing up for health care, when what they're actually doing is refusing to vote for the same continuing resolution they voted for 13 times before.
The Republicans have voted 14 times to open the government.
Let me just finish. Republicans have voted 14 times to strip health care away from millions of Americans. It is incredibly obvious who has the moral high ground in this government shutdown, and it's the Democratic Party. They are just trying to prevent millions of Americans from being kicked off of health care.
Who put the sunset provision for ACA subsidies?
Republicans negotiated.
That was Democrats.
Republicans negotiated that in.
Who put the sunset provision for ACA?
Do you understand how negotiation works in Congress? Two sides have to come together. The Republican Party.
The first time that we wouldn't have a clean
Party
CR
was the
passed.
party.
This is the bill that Schumer and everyone else agreed to back
The Republican Party was the party
earlier
that
this
came
year.
in.
Why aren't they committing to it this year?
Listen, the Republican Party.
Why can't they commit to it this year?
The Republican Party was the party that didn't want permanent credits. Number one. Number two, the reason why Democrats are number one, just holding off is because millions of Americans are about to get kicked off health care. It's incredibly simple.
Let's talk about what Democrats are really saying when they hold tight while people are struggling. They're saying, we don't care if you can't feed your kids. We don't care if flights are canceled. We don't care if federal workers miss their mortgage payments. We don't care about the safety concerns of planes flying without enough air traffic controllers. We're going to hold out until we get what we want. And what do they want? $1 trillion in additional spending on Obamacare subsidies that were always supposed to be temporary. Think about the twisted logic here. Democrats claim they're fighting to prevent people from losing health care, but they're willing to let people go hungry, let people lose their homes, let the aviation system become unsafe, all to force through spending that could be negotiated separately after reopening the government. You're telling me that you're so concerned about health care that you're willing to risk plane crashes from understaffed air traffic control? You're so worried about people's health that you're cutting off their food? That's not moral leadership. That's fanaticism. That's political zealotry that puts ideology above human welfare.
Can I just ask, to either of the Republicans on this panel, would you rather see this government shutdown end in Trump's preferred way, which is terminating the filibuster, or Democrats' preferred way, which is extending health care? What do you say?
First of all, I'm not a Republican.
Sorry. Then what do you say?
Then
what do you say? I want to see what do you say?
I ran for city council as a Democrat in the city of New York.
Okay.
Lost by 108 votes.
Then I want to ask you, what do you say about that?
I'm a New Yorker.
Okay, answer my question. Answer my question then.
These labels. You know why we are where we are?
Answer my
what you
question.
just did. I'm going to answer your question. But this is why we are where we are. Because we've become so partisan. We've forgotten about the people who don't put gas in their car. We've forgotten about the people who can't feed their kids. We're more worried about here's why the Democrats are not motivated to settle this. Because history will say, under Donald Trump, it was the longest government shutdown.
So it'll be
it'll be now.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
So for them, for the Democrats, it's going to be down on his scorecard. I wish Congress would go to their home districts and see the people suffering.
You want to know who
and then come back to Washington and then make their...
Here's what every American needs to understand. When Democrats say they're holding tight, they're telling you that your suffering is acceptable collateral damage in their political war. When they say they'll help reopen the government after they get their demands met, they're admitting they have the power to end this right now, but are choosing not to. When the media gives them 87% positive coverage while they do this, the media is complicit in gaslighting the American people. This isn't complicated. Clean CR on the table. Checkmark. Same spending Democrats voted for before. Checkmark. Full SNAP funding included. Checkmark. Full TSA funding included. Democrats' response? No. Why? Because they want more. They want spending that wasn't in the deal. They want to use your pain as leverage. And when people are starving, when flights are canceled, when safety is compromised, Democrats shrug and say, we're holding tight. That's not leadership. That's cruelty disguised as principle. The media won't say it, but we will. Democrats are choosing choosing this shutdown. They're choosing to keep it going. They're admitting it on camera, and they don't care who suffers as long as they win. That's the truth. And that's what the mainstream media is desperately trying to hide from you.